Okay guys, this is the kind of thing we're looking for when you get an old snowblower in. The auger and the tines work fine, right? But we've got a bent auger right there. You can see it's hit something. On this side over here there's no deformation, but over here there is. So we're just going to use a little bit of old-fashioned brute force to get this back. I still have to service this unit, but that's just oil changes and fluid checks and stuff like that. So I'm going to try and bend this back. First I'm going to use the old VFW first, as far as I'll go. Boy, that's going to go. You just got to be careful because you can punch yourself in the face when you're doing this kind of stuff, right? I've already made sure that there's no sprung pressure on the impeller. So now we're already back to almost quasi-normal here, okay? Right there. So I'll show you what it looks like when I finish bending it. And down here too, this piece is bent. If you see up here, the opposite is not. So it looks like they sucked in a piece of firewood or a brick, which makes, then we're going to check the shear pins to make sure they're okay, right? I'll just bend that back while you're watching. I'm in my 60s now, so I have to be a little more careful when I do this kind of stuff. Not for now, but later on tonight, when my wife was listening to me whine and snivel about how I hurt myself. Now you can take this stuff too far and actually break it too, eh? So. Oh, I'd say that's almost got it. Let's just turn it around now and see. That's pretty good. I think that will auger snow. I also cleaned it up. As you can see, it looks a little bit better. And a fluid check now. So before we can adjust the depth of the scrape of the skids and the height of the scraper bar, oh, my gloves are coming apart, we have to loosen the bolts that hold the skids, and these were locked tight. So I just did the basics. I sprayed it with penetrating oil, and now instead of wrecking my little 3/8, I got the impact out with my long 1/2 inch wrench. I hope I didn't move around too much for you there. And now we're just going to loosen these off. That sounds bad, eh? Sounds like it's broken, feels like it's broken. I don't know. Good. That felt bad. Although it's just the rust coming off too, right? And that's what we have the wire wheel on the grinder for. Spinning in the, oh yeah, the carriage bolt's spinning. So we got a little more work to do. Alright, we're going to cut these bolts off. There's no way I can get at them. I can't grab them from the back. I've got some new ones over on my bench here, and we'll just do it. Mask, plugs, gloves. You get the drill. Alright guys, the other side just zinged off with the impact wrench, right? So we're going to move that one over to here because the front edge is a little thicker. So now before we put this on, I'm going to show you what I've done. I've got some pieces of linoleum floor tile just stuffed under the scraper bar on a larger piece of plywood so it's flat, right? And then I'm going to put the scrapers on, which will elevate the scraper bar just above the sidewalk. And that's how I adjust them. Yes, I mean, it might not clean the snow right down, but you're not also going to scrape the sidewalk with the snow blower. So now I'm going to put this one scraper on, and we're going to just see how it goes. I mean skid. So on this same side, I had to use regular bolts. I don't know if you can see that. Right there. But on this side, wasn't rusted as bad. You can even tell. And I just used new washers and nuts. And they came off with the impact. So now the scraper is set at the right height, and we're going to continue on with our tune-up. I'm just going to check the level in here for the worm gear and augers, and I'm also going to make sure that we have shear bolts, not regular bolts, in the auger, seeing as how they hit something hard. The shear bolts may not be the right ones. Alright guys, this may be obvious to some of you and it may not be obvious to some of you, but you know those really weird sockets that you get that don't fit anything that have 8 points? Well, they're for the square bungs on equipment like where you check the oil. So this is a square, and it's probably 3/8, yes it is, and it just makes taking those off so much easier. Like that, right? Nobody ever talks about that, but that's what those are for. So I'm just going to get a chunk of wire. So I'm just going to shove this in and down at an angle. Oh no, it's got grease. See that? Up to about there. We'll wipe it off and do it again. We'll put our hands to a certain spot. Yeah, it's good. Alright, so now the next thing is to check these shear bolts. And then we'll grease it. Oh, geez, I don't like it when they're stiff like that, eh? Ah, shoot! That's the problem with a shear bolt. I sheared it off. Okay, so I'll have to find one. Okay, right in the little pouch back here. Can you see that back there? I found these. Snowblower auger shear bolts. Do not throw away. So we're going to just open these up and see if they fit. Yeah, these have been around a while. Might as well use them. Hey. Okay, so these should, there's a bigger hole at the back than there is at the front. Shove that through. We may have to tap it with a persuader. Oh, that's a, you know what, it's not my normal hammer. I'm not happy with that. There. So I'm starting to wonder now if that other bolt was a real shear bolt, or if it just had the sleeve put on, because most shear bolts have a notch in them. That's for a 3/4 inch shaft, and that's similarly what we're using now. They should have a little roll, so I'm going to replace that other one too. Okay, I just pumped some grease into this dessert here. Oh, that's interesting. On the other side and this side. You can see it's coming out of the hole. I tell you, if it was easy, everybody would do it. That's what I'm saying this week. Good. All right. Time to get a bag for dirty rags. All right, I get to use my new wrenches. Ratchet wrenches. Lifetime warranty. My lifetime or the store's lifetime? So now we're having a look at the belts. Now this machine, the damage on this machine has just been from it sitting in the elements. So I'm hoping these belts are okay, of course. Well, at the first glance they look good. I'm gonna make sure the engine's turned off. I'm just gonna turn it over. Let me bring you with me, I guess. Okay, do you see right there where that belt bends backwards around the idler? Well, you can see if there's splits in the belt when you pull the rope on the motor. Did you get that? I got a flashlight on my mouth. So I will go all the way around and make sure they're okay. Alright, I'm just changing the oil. And that'll be it. Okay, the door's open and the furnace is running. We're going to just check the drive on this now. I'm completely done. I just changed the oil. That's the last thing I usually do. Well, I might have a look at this light. And let's just see what we got. So we're on 3/4 of the throttle choke. It has run in the last 15 or half hour, so it should just start right up. Alright, I'm just having fun now. Changed the light on the headlight. It looks like an afterthought. I don't want to jinx myself, but that's probably one of the nicest running snowblowers I've had in here.